And it is
Perfect.
at the ring lights. I'm sorry. This is such a bad impression. I mean, sorry for
You're
getting a bit
fine.
flustered. Sorry getting flustered. But first off, oh my gosh, I am speaking with a rising female legend I've had the honor of seeing 3 times so far in my in my realm of being like medium fanatic. This is Sippy. Oh my gosh.
Hello, how
Oh
are
my goodness,
you?
I am doing absolutely amazing. I'm feeling absolutely great. I mean, I just didn't think this thing would come, and it's finally here. So long.
Happy birthday week.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, and thank you so much for not only taking the time out of your time off to speak with me, but of course all of your incredible freaking work ever since 2017 and to where we are now. I mean,
Thank you so much.
let's be honest, like this like almost like 5 year journey in you like making your music and creating such an amazing sound from you for the past 5 years has nothing short of incredible. My introduction to you was, of course, through Deadbeats, thanks to your collaboration with you and Zia, Deviate Your Soul. And then after that, I was just hooked the whole way through, just waiting on bated breath, trying to hear what is up next with Sippy. And what came next has been absolutely incredible. I mean, we have Taken Over, which is one of my favorite songs from you. And of course, I let me apologize for this because I did not address you in your proper title, which is Grammy nominated artist, working with the likes of Marshmello, Candy Kid.
I love that.
In the Shockwave album. 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds that I cherish over and over and over again. And of course,
I feel like I need a weekly hype chat with you just to remind me of everything that I've done.
If you need a hype chat, I am more than happy to be that guy. I'd be more than happy to. And of course, it was an absolute honor to see you for a tiny bit in Electric Zoo. The very first time I ever saw you live. I mean, let's be honest, I was on kind of a scheduled thing. I wanted to catch as many people as I possibly could. I wish I could be in 2, 3, 4 sets at once in the festival, but I cannot do that. I am not Naruto, but I was able to at least see a little bit of you and absolutely see you tear it up on stage. And of course, we go into like the Halloween night where it was you, Space Laces, Slander, and Excision. That was such a beautiful.
That was amazing.
That was such a beautiful night. I'll never forget it. And of course, finally seeing you, meeting you for the very first time ever in the Deadbeats NYC takeover in the Avant-Garde Nair. And needless to say, I was absolutely there rocking out to every single one of your songs. I did not stop moving once that night when Zippy came on.
Thank you.
No, I want my daily dose of Zippy when I get it. And I made sure I cherished it with every second of my body. Thank you so much for all your incredible work, and to all the people who have supported you throughout the years, the collaborations in Deadbeats, in Electric Zoo, and of course, we can't forget Psychosh Recordings, owned by Subtronics, with the Run It Up EP. Absolutely freaking amazing. I can never get enough of Run It Up.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely incredible. But
thank you.
I had to give, I always started off with me just saying thank you so much for all that you're doing and all that you're making. And coming from someone who is from Australia, and you don't think there's that many people to be noticed in Australia, but you are one of those women leading the charge and showing people that, yes, Australians, we can throw the F down as well. We're not just about cactus, kangaroos, and boomerangs. We can do so much more.
We definitely can.
But again, I'm so happy you're repping Australia in such a beautiful light, and I'm so honored and blessed to have met you and to finally have a chance to speak with you now. So introductions aside, I had to make sure I show my respect to you. I know that this was not like, it wasn't easy to get to where you are now. And it was 5 years that was spent and 5 years well spent, but what made you want to get into electronic dance music and made you want to start this journey that is Sippy?
Yeah, well, honestly, the beginning was really almost an accident, as in I was always into music as a kid. And then I just thought that if I wasn't the best at any particular instrument, I thought like if I'm not the best, I'm probably not going to make it. So I went and studied applied science at uni, and then I just missed like music so much and writing music and playing music. So I wanted to learn to produce just so I could do it for my own enjoyment. Started by doing this DJ competition in Australia called Your Shot. And they essentially just teach you how to DJ. So they taught me how to DJ, I performed, and then I started getting poached for all these different shows around Sydney. And then it kind of just slowly snowballed from there. And I think it wasn't until like I was really enjoying it, but it was always like, you know, something I was doing for fun. And then I can't even remember what year it was, but there was this one year that Bear Grylls came to Australia and we met, we became friends. And he was kind of like, we were chatting and he was like, look, like, I think you should come to America to like really see what this is all about. So I went over to America for a week and he just like, he took me to a show he was playing in the OC. He took me to an Excision show he was playing, like all this kind of stuff. And I just was like blown away. Like I kind of saw it. And on the one hand, I was like, holy shit, this is so huge. And on the other hand, I was like, oh, I could really do this. Like, I really think that not only would I love it, but I'm also like, I can see what I would want to do here. You know what I mean?
So could you could pretty much say that Bear Grylls was kind of like your very first like big EDM mentor?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I kind of had two going very early on. I have another one who's from here in Australia called Dr. Werewolf, and he very much brought me, you know, he was like very day to day instrumental in terms of like I would see him every week and like show him the music I was working on and that kind of thing. But Bear Grylls was definitely the one that kind of showed me the bigger picture of you know, what's going on around the world and like the steps to kind of get there, if that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. And I'm so happy
Yeah.
that like I mean, again, you said it was kind of a happy accident, and yes, it was pretty much like the best. I don't know if like you like had intentions of like really just like, know what, screw it, I'm just going to try this contest out and see what happens. And
Yeah.
after that, I mean, did you get like first prize or anything like that? You're like what, the top
No,
three,
I didn't
top?
win anything. No, I was a
Oh,
terrible DJ. I was terrible. But I did get poached actually from Dr. Werewolf. He was booking Chinese Laundry at the time. So
hmm,
that's where I got my residency at Chinese Laundry and The Wall, which are like two kind of instrumental like venues in Sydney. So I
hmm,
didn't actually win anything. And to be honest, like I wasn't a great DJ, but because it was my first ever set, like I'd been learning for 6 weeks or something. So it was
hmm,
pretty new. But in saying that, that definitely like made me get a roll on pretty early.
right.
And again, it was all like I just love this, so I just want to do it for my own enjoyment. So, but I always like I've always loved music. I've always loved writing music. So that part isn't a shock. It was just I always thought I would be doing it for my own enjoyment rather than like a career, if that makes
Right.
sense. So
It definitely does
yeah,
make sense. And but let's be honest, with you getting the attention of Bear Grylls, that set couldn't have been that bad. It couldn't
yeah.
have been
No,
that
that was
bad.
a little bit later. That was probably, I mean, that might have been a year or two after. So I had been practicing, like I was after Your Shot, I then was playing everywhere and anywhere I could. Like I would play
Hmm.
instead of playing necessarily like my style of music, I would play in like the corner of a bar and I would be there for like 5 hours every Saturday playing for 5 hours. So all of that time like practiced meant that, you know, I progressed pretty quickly when it comes to like the whole DJing side of things.
Right.
And
And
honestly, it was only a few years later. I think it was only 2 years later that I started. 2 years after that first set, I started running a whole bunch of DJ schools in Australia. So
hmm,
teaching there and running the school, like it made me a lot better at DJing as well because I was
wow.
teaching a lot of like new students how to DJ. So that also helped me be a lot better at that as well. So
That is amazing. And could you say maybe like you're like that part of you that wants to like teach people how to like, be DJs? Could you say that kind of like came from if I remember correctly, you did some work in Icon, I believe, Icon Collective. It was like a music school.
So no, so at Icon I studied, but the music school that I was running was this one, like this DJ school over in Australia. So
Right.
that was kind of the first of it. I enjoy teaching. I love sharing like my knowledge with people. So
Mhm.
that was obviously a great way to do that. But it was essentially like my first proper like full-time job outside of university.
Hmm.
And so I don't know, like obviously like teaching, well, I sort of opened, like we had investors who were like, hey, we want some DJ schools. And so they were like, can you make them for us? So I essentially set up three of them and then ran them for 3 years. And I had other teachers as well, but I was definitely doing a lot of teaching in Sydney because it was just like easier for me to teach that content as well. But that definitely like on the one hand it was great as a job, but and like I helped a lot of people, but also like it definitely made me a much better DJ than I probably was before that. So
Right. It was because if not mistaken, when it comes to like different schools, no matter what you're teaching, no matter what you're like learning, everyone's a teacher, everyone's a student. The more you did those lessons, the more you learned as well, and the more you have
exactly,
improved. And like you said,
exactly.
it wasn't easy as well in 2017. Terrible set. You said 6 weeks you learned, but as time went on, you just keep on practicing, and keep getting better until we reached
Yeah.
2019 or even 2017. Well, 2017 is where I think you got your very first collaboration with AWAR, I believe, and then 2019
Yeah,
came
probably. Yeah.
I believe, the very first Sippy song, which was Ghost. So, what made you like
I
want to
think
like
was that 29? Yeah, maybe. I think there might have been one before that. Maybe Lithos on Deadbeats. That could have been after. I
Lithos?
got...
Oh no, Lithos was 2020, and Ghost
Oh,
was
was it?
2019.
There you go. There you go. You know
Because
more than I do.
I do my research is what I do.
Yeah.
So Lithos 2020 was a part of We Are Deadbeats compilation volume
That's right.
3. And
Yeah.
but 2019 was like, I believe that was like a single
Ghost.
that was coming from you. So this leads to my
Hmm.
question, which is this: when it comes to collaborations and like making your first song, what made you like want to like start finding your own sound besides just making mixes? I mean, the teaching is great and all, but I
Yeah.
believe you wanted a bit more in the music industry.
Yeah, I think my first intention before I started DJing was to learn to produce. So I think that was always my original intention. But the problem was like I was very unfamiliar with electronic music. I just kind of I had a very broad scope of the music I was listening to and interested in, but I didn't really understand the music as well, but I also didn't understand the technology so much. So that's why I started with DJing. I was like, let's start getting comfortable. And then eventually like kind of moved into production. So I always kind of wanted to find my own sound, but it takes a long time to do that. And it's obviously constantly evolving. But you know, the time it took to learn the skill of producing, it took me a little bit of time to get to the point where I was comfortable enough to like release a song on my own and think, yeah, like this is my own song that I've done and I'm proud of it.
Mhm.
Um, I found like collaborating with people was a great way in the beginning was a great way for me to learn, but also a way for me to kind of have my sound in there whilst I was still developing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was always something that I was interested in, but it wasn't until Ghost that I felt confident enough in my own stuff to actually, release my own solo track.
Right. And speaking of that, I feel like we kind of start getting like a taste of like the Sippy universe in the cover art of Ghost, because I feel like was
Yeah.
Ghost was like the first introduction to like the pink bunny. I don't know if this bunny
Yeah.
has a name, but where did that come from, and how did that like insignia start like developing?
Yeah, the bunny is a funny one because it's like it's kind of been introduced a little bit here and there, but it's not like in its full effect yet. And it's kind of one of those little hidden eggs throughout my things. It's not everywhere, but it's sort of hidden in there. So people who are paying attention, like, you'll
Like
find little
me?
allusions to it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So but the bunny is kind of originally like when I was finding a logo or doing a new logo. I used to have an old one, but when I was coming up with a logo, like I wanted something visual that kind of explained the idea behind Sippy. And essentially, I wanted something that seemed cute, friendly, and approachable, but also like a little gritty, a little rough around the edges, like a little bit gross. So what we ended up coming up with was this kind of bunny that's also like a bit of a gremlin zombie type thing. It's like it's kind of cute and fluffy, but it also and looks like friendly, but it's also like a bit drooly and like, it's got some scars and stuff. So that was kind of the point of its inception. And then essentially over a period of time, and I don't think I've really shared this with anyone besides my team before, but you know, that integration of that is slowly being introduced. I guess like there are some things where you can see the bunny is more like there's more the bunny is almost like not an alter ego because it's kind of similar to me, but it's like a little buddy that I have, I guess beside me. And there's like a couple of artworks where, or even like some visuals where it's been introduced, where it's kind of like, this playful but kind of like a bit of a menace style, I don't know, that the bunny encompasses. So, that first artwork was just like, here we are introducing it. You can't see its face, but it's kind of got the bunnies there, and you can see the shadow is more of a like demon scary kind of shadow instead of a real one. And then, as we go on, there's been some artworks where it's been more introduced, more in the forefront. Even a lot of my most of my merch now, like there's a more graphic version of the bunny being introduced. There's actually a little allusion to it in the artwork of the Hypogeal EP. It's my neck that's been essentially kind of like ripped, and you can see the fur.
Right. I was going to ask, like, for a second I thought, because this is something that I focus on when it comes to visual work. I noticed this in the Deadbeats show when I saw that pink fur. It was kind of like moving up and down bits. So I was thinking to myself, is that like the fur of the bunny, or I'm seeing in the Hypogeal, I was here, right? The Hypogeal EP, I was thinking, is it almost kind of like a virus that's like taking over you? So it's like the energy of the bunny almost kind of like entering into your skin, into your bloodstream. So it's kind of like almost inside your heart, you are the feelings and the characteristics of that particular bunny.
Yeah, so the whole point of Hypogeal is like essentially the whole point of it was kind of like under the surface. And the names kind of allude to little parts of that, like one called Deep Dark. I love this too because I like change the names of these songs so many times. So every now and then I have to like double check with myself what they're called. But like, Deep Dark or Shadow, like those were some of the names of the tracks on the EP. And the whole idea of Hypogeal, like we were kind of going with, it's meant to be under the surface. So under the skin or under my skin is the bunny. So that was kind of the play on that. So it was essentially, we actually had a lot of mock-ups of the artwork done that I wanted to release that we couldn't because they were a lot more graphic. Well, no, I don't think it was a lot more graphic, but for music, like some things get like some artworks get a little bit more censored. So it looked more like a, something had cut into like the side of my skin, and you could see the blood coming down and that kind of thing. So it was essentially like the skin had been cut open, and you could see under my skin was like the bunny essentially.
Right.
So yeah, so some artworks like that is fun.
I don't think it would have been that graphic. I mean, if it were me,
it wasn't. It really wasn't.
If it were me and like we're starting to be more like, and you start like really evolve and like make much of a stronger sound, make much of a stronger impact. Maybe those like old artworks we can maybe use as like maybe a Hypogeal EP. I don't know. A Hypogeal VIP of all three tracks. That's why I meant to say.
Exactly.
I feel like because like.
I've never thought of doing that. That's actually a great idea. I would say that
because, like, Hypogeal was kind of like it's being in your skin, but maybe the next one, the Hypogeal 2.0 VIP, I don't know, it can be a lot more like, spreading of the skin.
Mm,
but maybe it's like crawling more around the neck, more around the back, maybe
yeah.
more around the face, almost
More
like
on the
if
face.
we're
Yeah.
talking alter ego, that's kind of the energy of the
Yeah.
bunny. Maybe like make it
Yeah.
one your normal face, the other side the
And
a
the
more like
bunny.
CGI
Yeah.
version of that face.
Yeah.
Because
That
like
could be really cool.
right, because like you're saying, like this bunny is being more up in the forefront. We got the full blast of it, of course, in the Running Up EP. So
Yeah.
all we got was pretty much just like a little taste of it and all the other like songs and singles except Deviate. But
Yeah.
we got like all of it in Run It Up. So
Yeah.
speaking of Run It Up, I was going to this. That's the latest release I heard so far, but one of the latest release of the we're talking EP wise. How did that one come to be, and how did you get in contact with someone as basic as Subtronics for him to say, "No, we're going to bring you into my label, Cyclops Recordings"?
Yeah, honestly, it's funny how that one happened because we essentially like I had actually written the original kind of demo for Run It Up years ago, like probably
Before or after
maybe
Sam King?
20. No, well, with Sam King. So the way it happened was Sam King and I had we had a session booked to work on something together. We'd known each other for years. We'd met each other through Keizo. And I think it was around 2019 that I was in LA just visiting and was doing sessions with people, and we'd organized to do a session. And probably about an hour before I was meant to see him, I was going through all my demos, and I was like, I don't have anything that I think he would really make sense for us to work on together. So I just sat in this coffee shop and was like, I'm going to write something completely from scratch for him. And I wrote that kind of the breakdown for Run It Up. And I wrote it super quick. Like it all came together in like 25, 30 minutes. Like, I don't know, I was just feeling it and it just flowed. And then, so we did all of that. And then I went to his studio. And as soon as he heard it, he's like, I'm so into this. And like from there, wrapped the whole thing. There you go. Like it was that whole part of it was super quick. But it had another drop and it just stayed there for however many years, like 2.5 years or something. And then I was like, I really want to like turn this into something because I think it's really great. And then 2.5 years later, I'd progressed a lot in my production, had another crack at it. And the new drop, like I felt really like flowed and felt a lot better. And then the way it came about, just my manager, Harrison, just sent it to I think he sent it to Danny from Cyclops. And he was like, oh, I really love this, let me check with everyone, blah blah, and they really loved it. And I actually think we sent them a 3 or 4 track playlist of like, here are some songs. They said they really loved Run It Up. They really loved one of the other ones. I can't remember which other one on the EP. I think it was What You Know About. And then they were like, we want to do an EP. So we love these two. If you could write a third one to put on as the EP, like we'd love to do that. So from there, it kind of came really quickly. I don't even remember how. I must have written the last song knowing that the whole EP was going to come out. And I was like, okay, like I want like one last track on this.
So you're like very confident when you made that last song for the EP. So you felt real good.
Yeah. Honestly, the real good was just like, I actually think I had originally sent that off to be a collab with someone. And then I just was like, I kept saying to my manager, I'm like, oh, I don't know if this fits with the EP. And he's like, I actually think it really fits with the EP. Like, just because it's like a little bit, it's a little bit cruisier. It's a little bit more in the back. And he's like, but I think it really fits. So then I actually like put some time into just developing it myself. And they loved it. They were like, yep, we love this EP. Go with it. Like that kind of thing. So it kind of happened a bit more in the back end of managers and label managers talking to each other. It was just more that like I knew and we knew that we wanted to work with them as a label. And they obviously were keen and interested in what I do as an artist. So it just kind of like fell into place like really easily and naturally. Like, again, we just sent them a playlist and they were like, we love these. And it just kind of like fell into place pretty comfortably, which is good. Like that's also when you're working with a label that's like pretty aligned with you, because everything kind of works smoothly. So
When your motives
it was
and
really
like your
great.
goal, when your motives, goals, like your visions are like so in sync, it's like you have to work with them. Like it's like the best feeling
Yeah. Yeah,
when you're like being an
exactly.
artist and you're working with
Exactly.
labels. So can you say the
Yeah.
same? Can you say the same feeling was also kind of there when you work with Deadbeats as well? Because we have a lot
Yeah.
of work in Deadbeats, from singles to EPs to, heck, again, being a part of their takeover in part of their
Yeah.
tour. So
Yeah.
I believe, if I'm mistaken, the start of like you working with Deadbeats, especially with Ghost, especially with Hypogeal, and
Yeah.
it all felt, they all like feel like you were really a part of the Deadbeats family. How did that begin?
Yeah, honestly, Deadbeats is a really incredible label to work with because I mean, I'm a huge Zeds Dead fan. And now, from when I first started working with them till now, like I actually didn't, I think I had only seen one Zeds Dead show in Australia, because obviously, like, they're not here very often. But then I started playing all the shows with them, and I have watched so many of their sets, and every time I'm not only blown away, which is pretty rare as a DJ because you see a lot of sets, you play a lot of sets, that kind of thing. But I also like come back from every show of theirs and I'm so inspired. Like I'm like, oh my God, like I just want to like, it just makes me inspired and want to work. And
This might be a very stupid question, because I feel like a lot of people know how incredible Zeds Dead is. What is it about Zeds Dead, out of all the other sets that you see of other artists, this one really inspired you? And you, like, you come in like expecting an experience and you come out feeling reborn.
yeah, I think the difference with their sets and watching them for me is that like I feel like a lot of big DJs, like I know what it's like when you're playing like main slot and a lot of people like just go hard and go heavy and like like go big kind of thing. The thing that I find so incredible with Zeds Dead is they have the crowd like eating
Eating
up
at the
everything that
palm.
they're doing.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the same thing, eating out the palm of their hand.
Yeah. But it's also so diverse. Like they're playing some house and then people are grooving and like, there's drum and bass in there and there's like, it's like such a journey and an adventure. And you don't have to be standing there headbanging the whole time, but still be like, holy shit, this is like one of the best sets I've ever seen. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, there's like definitely plenty of times and places for sets where I'm like, I just want to like stand here and headbang and that kind of thing. But the thing I just find so amazing is that like during their sets, it is so diverse, it is such a journey, and it's like not what you would expect to be like a huge banger set. But in saying that, like it feels like a banger set because the whole time you're just like vibing, you're into it, you're on this journey and completely like I just like when I'm watching their sets, I'm completely have no idea what's going on around me. I'm just so like into what they're doing and they just, kind of pull me all different ways and I'm like I'm super into it. And I love that because like me personally, like I write in a lot of different styles and will continue to push more that way. Um and it's really encouraging to see, someone up there who's like really doing that. And it's working, so it's like very encouraging and inspiring to see that, and also seeing their fan base. Their fan base is very like open-minded. They're very like encouraging, and like as in it definitely brings me back into that kind of artist headspace instead of like, the music industry can go very like um it can get a bit like, oh, okay, like write the banger and it's got to be like this and it's got to be heavy and it's got to be every 5 weeks you got to release a track, and like it can be a bit like
It's
that.
very
So seeing
criteria
it
based, almost robotic.
exactly, and then seeing it the other way makes you go, oh, like this is really inspiring artistically. And that's one of the things I noticed working with Deadbeats. They very much encourage that. Like they encourage you to like not do what you think you should do what you want to do, and do what makes sense to you as an artist. When I had the Captive EP, originally we had, what was the song that we were going to release? Maybe it's a song that I don't haven't released yet. I can't remember. Yeah, actually, it's a song I haven't released yet. But there
It's
was a song that
unreleased.
we were, yeah, there was a song that the EP, or it was either going to be a single or an EP, and it was based around this song, which was definitely a lot more like banger territory. And Harrison said to me like, "Yep." Where he actually had locked in that release, and he's like, "We're all good to release this in whatever month we organize." And he's like, but if you want, like, you've got time, you can go up and explore. And if you come up with something else, and literally wrote the Captive EP in that week and sent it to him. And he's like, I love this. I'm so glad you went and explored. And him encouraging me to explore in a way that felt like I wasn't under pressure made it really flow. And I'm really glad, because like I'm a lot more excited about releasing that Captive EP as something a little bit different, because I feel like it really like pushed me and progressed me like as an artist.
That's amazing to hear. That is incredible to hear.
Yeah.
And again, I really appreciate you so much for explaining, your experiences with Deadbeats and Zeds Dead, and like experiencing the set, because, well, for one, I was happy to at least experience a majority of Zeds Dead set firsthand on that New York night, because I mean, I kind of knew what to expect. I mean, I'm kind of expecting like a mishmash of like all the stuff that they've made throughout the years. We're talking like from the Eyes on Fire Zeds Dead remix to them like recently making their Altered States label and Catching These compilation, and then they start doing more songs like in that energy. Like, for example, when I heard the song "I Took a Ride," that immediately floored me. I was like, yes, I was just going off. So it's amazing. Like you said, it's a mixture of so many songs, like not in their discography, that are so different from one another. And I think my first time ever experiencing that was when I was listening to Volume 4 of We Are Deadbeats. Like, one song is not the same as the other. You can go into a house track like just one with Lost 21 and Polina. You can go to like a very deep bass heavy, almost like how do I say it? It's like almost like an enthralling song like Ether with them and Death Pact. You go into Save My Grave with the Mo and Gigi McGree. You go into Stars Tonight. You go into Lift You Up. You go into Bumpy Teeth with Subtronics. It's a medley of so many different genres.
I love Bumpy Teeth. Bumpy Teeth, and also the remix. Sorry,
with
no, this is the Subtronics and Zeds Dead remix of God Loves Ugly.
Oh yes.
Every time, like
another song that introduced me to Zeds Dead.
Oh my god! Like, I love when Subtronics plays it. I love when Zeds Dead play it. Like, every time, I'm like,
yeah, it goes off. But again, it's a testament to the years that they spent, like, really not only working on their craft, but deciding to really, go outside the box when it comes to making songs, when it comes to tapping these type of genres, these type of environments. And I'm so honored and blessed to not only be a fan of their work, but to see how their work has inspired people like you, people like other people around the Deadbeats label. So it's amazing to know that they had a hand in like your success, but also they gave you the freedom, and like your management team gave you the freedom to like really explore and really find any like feelings within yourself that you want to execute and put out into music. Like you said, the Captive 2-track EP, which I'm had the privilege to listen to, and it's absolutely freaking amazing. And of course, the title track with Bianca, what the freak, absolutely freaking amazing. And this kind of leads to my next question as well, which is, you do have a fair share of like working with certain vocalists. You work with Bianca, who I was introduced to thanks to Kuro, would Take You Down from Monster Cat. You have Virus Syndicate with the song Guess Who's in Charge, which it's you, not them, it's you. And in Bass Rush, she was absolutely amazing. Then you go into, of course, Run It Up, Sam King. That was amazing too. Sam King, such an amazing EDM resume, working with Excision and working with Sharps, working with Disciple, working with so many people, and it was absolutely amazing too. I'm just curious to know, like, which is, well, for one, are there any other vocalists you wish to work with? And what is about certain vocalists that really, like, brings out, like, the true power of a song?
Honestly, like it's really interesting because sometimes it depends how you write tracks because I think a lot of artists in the electronic world, like a lot of the way they do it is they'll write the bed of a track, like they'll write a track and then they'll send it to a vocalist and they will sing on top, which is obviously great. It takes the song to the next level and gives it a certain vibe. And I've done a lot of tracks like that. I've also done a lot of tracks in the opposite way where I'll get a vocal from the vocalist and then I'll write to that, and then there's the third way that I also love writing, which is when I'm actually in the studio with the vocalist and we're writing the track together. um that's like a very fun way to do it as well because it's like you're both really like bouncing off each other and creating the track together. So I think like in terms of vocalists I want to work with, I definitely have quite a few vocalists that I've found. It's so funny because like I'm literally talking about this just as this Skrillex song came out, but I was looking for a vocalist like Flodan that I wanted
Mm.
on a track. And there were just a certain, I can be like quite particular in the tones that I like. Like I don't usually go for like a very like generic standard sounding voice. Like I usually like to hear something that's like a little bit different. But in saying that, I had this track and I wanted like a voice like Flodan. Obviously, it's not going to happen. Well, I don't know, but I feel like
It can
it's not going to
happen.
happen for
Don't
me
no no no
now.
no.
But
Do not doubt Sippy. I will not accept you doubting yourself. It can happen. Floden will be knocking
yeah,
on your door, working on a
yeah.
song. If he can
But I
do it
have
with
a
if he could do it with Rohan and they work on something
yeah,
together,
yeah,
it can
yeah,
happen for you. I mean, and
yeah. Well,
Rohan, come
I
on.
have a track that I'm like that I need that kind of. I know I need that kind of tone on it. So anyway, hopefully that's like one. There's one artist called Kuka who works a lot with Flume. Absolutely love her voice. Insane. The other one that I just found the other day, and I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. It's Ehirobo. Ehiorobo. So random. A lot of people have never heard of him,
I
but
say I say Ehirobo. I say Ehirobo.
Ehirobo. Okay, that might
That's
be
how I
it.
say it. Because
Yeah.
I am so sorry for my pronunciation there, but
Yeah.
Ehirobo is an artist, is a vocalist who I wish more people
Oh my
could
God.
experience because
I love his stuff. I just like
voice.
was
Oh
my God.
my
I was
gosh.
just because he kept coming up on my Spotify. Like I was just doing some digging and he kept coming up and I'm like, man, this guy's voice is insane. And then I started going down on his Instagram and he's got like, he's doing all this looping stuff and I really love the way he writes as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that we can do something together. I've got a few things in mind, but I'm also open to starting something new with him. Yeah, so
So
those are some of the vocalists that I'm thinking of working with, but there's also I do have a track or a couple of tracks at the moment that I'm working on that have my own voice on them. So that's
mm-hmm.
also the other side, um, that like I'm looking to push into as well.
Right. And that's amazing to hear. And I feel like again, Floden, it's gonna happen for you. Ehirobo is definitely going to happen. I feel
I'm
like
so excited for
they
him
will
too.
just give them. I mean, just be bold, be kind, do kind of a
Yeah,
direct approach. Sometimes, like it's sometimes what I do when it comes to an artist. It all you have to do is just ask. I mean, the worst
yeah.
you're gonna do is just say no or like
I know I get
say
so
let's try to
worried
do
with
that.
that. Like, why does it matter if I worry that they say no? Like, I should just,
Right.
it happens a lot with like collabs or things. I'm like, oh, but like, what if they say no? But then it's like, okay, they say no and that's fine. And you just
Yeah.
like
Or
move
they leave
on.
you or the some will just leave you on red. Look at me.
Yeah.
How many
And
people
you're
I
like,
try interacting with and asking with like speak with them, talk with them, that kind of thing. Some of them I
yeah,
left on red, but the people who say yes, I cherish that, and I will make sure that whatever I
yeah,
do with them, I work with them, I can make something beautiful out of nothing. So it's
yeah,
so
for sure.
all it takes is if they know who you are and they see the power, they see the passion within you, they see the work that you do, the resume you have, more than likely they will say, you know what, let's give it a shot. We'll let
Yeah,
you
for
in.
sure.
So
Yeah.
Floden is gonna happen. You show him what you did so far, it's gonna happen. Ehirobo, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be easier for you because
Oh,
he has worked with
yeah.
many
He's
like
he sent me a
he
message. We're sending songs back and forth. So I'm like,
It's manifesting. It's already
Yeah,
manifesting. And he also
yeah.
worked with a few artists as well. Again, I go back to Cat because that's my introduction to them. He worked with World. He worked with Memba. He worked with
Remember? Yeah, I
Smile.
love that song. Yeah.
So it's those songs that like maybe like know who he is and absolutely
Yeah.
freaking adore his vocal, his voice.
Hmm.
Absolutely freaking amazing. So those two I know is definitely gonna happen. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
hello. I feel like the first thing you should do with those two artists, show them one song that I feel like will really say, okay, you know what, she's doing something. Let's see what she's got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just send them one song, 2 words,
Yeah.
Candy Kid, and you're in. Because that song,
Yeah.
again, short to the point, but it's absolutely freaking amazing. I was
Thank you.
waiting. I was waiting to ask this question. How?
Yes.
Oh, how did the EDM modern juggernauts Marshmallow see the power in Sippy? Please tell
I
me.
know. I feel like everyone thinks it's so like it does seem really random, but it's also not so.
I don't think it's random.
Where
It's not random to me
no, it's
because
not random. It's
because
not
if it was
random.
random, do you think he would have not noticed Peekaboo? You think he would not notice like some of these other smaller artists too on the
Yeah.
list? I feel like
Honestly,
you
the
would think.
album was great. Like the mix of people he had on that album was really dope. Like
Mm-hmm,
very, I don't know. I was very happy to see the people that he had on the album. The way it happened for us is we've actually been friends for years. So he came to, and this is how I meet a lot of, well, I used to meet a lot of artists. He came to Sydney years ago before he
mm-hmm.
started Marshmallow. He came to Sydney. I think he was here. I don't know if he was here on his own. I think it was him and Keizo that were out at the same time. Or
Really?
I don't know, maybe he was with someone else. No, he must have been on his own. But anyway, we were out with like he was coming and then one of my mates was like, oh, like blah blah, like this guy's out here. We're trying to show him around Sydney, but I've got to go. Like, you want to come join us and then like show him out Sydney? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
a Tuesday night, which like Sydney is like it's great, but it's like not there's not things happening all the time, right? And I'm like Tuesday night, what the fuck are we gonna do? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take him to
I
this.
kind of believe that, but I kind of Australia is
Yeah,
a pretty big and pretty interesting place. I
yeah,
mean, but
yeah,
I feel like Australia is more than just like I said, more than cactus, more than kangaroos, more than
yeah.
boomerangs, more than the opera house. I
Yeah,
think there's so much
it
more. But
definitely
go
is.
on.
It's funny. I saw him at the Opera House. That's where I actually like met
Ah!
him for the first time. So maybe it's not more. But anyway, we went to this. I took him to this place. I'm like, this could be a big risk. He could either love it or hate it. And it's called Frankie's Pizza in Sydney, right?
Mhm.
We go in. The whole idea is the front looks like a kind of like pizzeria kind of thing. They have like apple juice that they're freshly making with like your liquor of your choice. They have pizzas
On
that they're pumping out and all this stuff. And then there's these back doors that look like they go into the kitchen, but they actually go into this back big room where they have like pinball machines, but it's like a dark room where they have in the corner on a Tuesday, they have live band karaoke. So it's like there's a live band that are like, you want to sing Blink 182, come up here and sing it and we'll play it. And he like went in there and he was like, this is fucking awesome. We're like up there, like screaming, like all these old school, like punk tunes. And
oh
like,
my gosh.
it was like amazing. So we became friends then. And so every time he came to Sydney, like we would hang out. So he came one year again. I remember he came this one year and he's like, oh, I'm about to start this new project. It's called Marshmallow. Like he was showing me some tracks and I was like, holy shit, this looks like really sick and really
So
cool and
this is
blah blah.
like before, like, are we talking like really really early before the helmet,
Yeah,
before Alone?
before the helmet, before Skrillex is like posting him on SoundCloud or whatever
With the
he
Where
was
Are You
posting
Now
on. But
remix.
yeah, yeah. And then he was
Wow.
like, so then the next time he came, he was playing Chinese Laundry, which is a tiny room. And then the next time he played, he was at wherever, like, so we were just like friends. And he knew me so early that I'd only just started producing. So there was no, like, there was no real, like, possibility for us to work yet because I just wasn't there. And I knew, and
Right.
I do know with any of my friends that I've known in music, like, I never really pushed that sort of stuff because you know, I want it to happen when it makes sense. And it definitely didn't really make sense before this. And then lockdown happens. It's, you know, a couple of months, a month or two into lockdown. And he randomly FaceTimes me, like out of the blue. And he's like, yo, what's up? He's wearing this like dope ass fucking like Nike collab with like, I don't know who, like a Nike Gucci collab. I can't remember the shirt, but I was like, damn, like look at this guy in his house. And he's like, what's going on? Like, blah, blah. And I was like, hello, my friend. Like, how are you? And he's like, yeah, good. And I'm like, I'm just in the studio, just working on, all I can do at the moment is work on music, and that's all I'm doing, right? And he's like, cool. And he's like, well, I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm working on an album and I would really love, like, to work on a track with you for it and blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm free. Like, you know, like, I guess I could do that, you know. Like,
when Marshmallow says you can be a part of his album, you really can't say no.
yeah, I was like,
No
sweet.
is not
And then,
an option.
yeah. And then we got off the phone and I was like, holy shit, what do I send him? You know, like, what is he gonna like? Anyway, I second guessed it so many times and eventually just sent him a playlist of tunes, and he chose Candy Kid straight away. And that was one that I thought was like my worst work. I was really self-conscious about it. He loved it, and it just kind of like came together. Like it was very easy. And then I honestly had no idea. We wrote it like probably over a year before it came out. And I had kind of just forgotten about it because I'm like, maybe it's not going to come out. And then literally start getting all these emails where, you know, we're releasing it in 2 weeks, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh shit, like this is really happening. And yeah, so it was honestly crazy. Like it was, and it was honestly like really awesome to just see like my progression, but also to see that full circle, you know, like I met him so early in my career and just on, not on a whim, but just on like a, hey, like here's someone coming to my town and I want to like make them feel welcome with no other intentions. I didn't know he was going to be Marshmallow. I didn't know anything. I just was like, you know, I know what it can be like traveling to another country by yourself. So I was like,
you were just trying to be a
show
good friend.
you exactly. And you know, it's kind of crazy to see like what that turned into. But
I mean, here's the thing. Yeah. This is a perfect example that even though that just being a good friend, just being a good Samaritan, just like being a good person can open doors that you never thought could be possible. Just like just that first impression of just like welcoming him into a country that he probably never been to before, and just showing him a really good time, just casually a good time, open the doors for you to be a part of this album. And now look at that song now, and look at you now. I can finally say that Sippy is a Grammy-nominated electronic dance music artist.
Honestly, crazy.
Along with all the doors he's opened for Eptics, Optronics, Peekaboo, Nitty Gritty, all of them who had not, and Troy Boy, all of them who probably never probably see their faces in the Grammys in that realm. Thanks to Marshmallow and all that he's done throughout his years, throughout his career, you are now a part of it. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's why I keep saying this to some artists, like, no, hello there, Grammy nominated Sippy, Grammy nominated Peekaboo, Grammy nominated artists of Tronics, because thanks to Marshmallow, they are part of that. So that's why I keep saying it to a lot of people, to those people, that you're a part of this album, Grammy nominated. I feel like in the futures, I feel like if the musical industry is open-minded to what electronic dance music is and what they're making, that maybe one day you will probably have your own Grammy that you can put in your room.
Yep.
I already told, and here's the thing though, I remember me writing a letter to Subtronics, like when I met him for the very first time. Well, I think the second, maybe third time, I just sent him a letter because I didn't think I'd have a chance to meet him. But I did. He read it, and then I wrote down, like, towards the end of it, that he's already part of a Grammy-nominated album. Maybe one day he can have a Grammy award in his name, and it's starting to come to fruition because he had the album Fractals, debut album, his face in the Grammy Recording Artist magazine. I literally screamed.
That's crazy.
So if it can happen to him, if it can happen to More Kismet, his debut album, Universe, it can happen for you. It can happen to people. It can
Crazy.
happen to so many people. So
Yeah.
it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful, like, rising success story that I feel like if people can just listen and hear and like gain this knowledge, they can they clearly it's us telling you that you can do it. You can
Yeah.
make it. And just feel like at the end of the day, be a good person. You never know what
Yeah.
doors can be open for you in the future.
Yeah, I honestly feel like that's something that's kind of just the way that I live and have been brought up, as in, I don't do like I don't do nice things for people with any intent to get anything in return. Like it's just kind of the way that I am. I don't know, maybe it's selfish, as in I feel better about myself when I am like that to people, but it's also like I like to do that for people because that's the way that I would like to be treated. Now, if I get treated like that or not,
It's the
I
golden
can't
rule. It's the
control that.
golden
But
rule.
yeah, exactly. So I think there's definitely like moments where I don't know, like I am happy and grateful that I am that way, and look, if there was another way to be that wasn't like that, I don't think I would want it no matter what. Like I know some people, some artists can be aggressive and they can be, I don't know, like they can be not
Self-centered.
nice to other people. Yeah. And like
There,
I
there are
also
those
I
there are those
do
DJs that have not even reached the pinnacle of success that you have. They're already like, giving themselves an ego flex. I'm not gonna name any
yeah.
name. I'm not gonna name any names here, Carnage. But it's that type of energy that I feel like it's good to like really feel good about yourself and know that you're doing something
Yeah.
positive. But there's
Yeah.
always a thin line. There's always a thin line, I believe, between like like really being your best cheerleader and then like
Yeah.
really like giving yourself that like a lot of like toxic positivity, giving yourself like a whole lot of yes men. They're like like
Exactly.
always behind you, feel like you're the best. Like here's the
Yeah.
thing. It's unhealthy, it's not right, and we have to be humble in our lives now and again. No one,
Yeah.
you are not Jesus, you are not God, you are not like the Lord of all lords, the King of all kings. You're
Yeah.
human. So why are
Yeah.
you hyping yourself up to the point where you think you are a deity? Because you are
Yeah.
not.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's that kind of thing that I hope more people I wish could understand and like
Mhm.
really see like the reality of it all, which is that
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's all about just like the people you impact and the people that you're touching with who you are and what you're doing. So like
Exactly.
how your work has touched me in ways I cannot describe, and
Yeah.
how I constantly keep saying that there's people out there and artists who I've been inspired by that has inspired me, or let alone saved my life, because I don't think I would
Yeah.
be doing any of this if I had not discovered music that you made,
Mhm.
music that so many other people have
Yeah.
made. I don't think I would be here right now. So it's
Yeah.
that humbleness, it's that like looking back
Amazing.
on your life and saying to yourself, these people, these humans has made something so amazing that has done so much for me. The least I can do
Yeah.
is be humble, say thank you, show my
Yeah.
gratitude, show my love for what
Yeah.
they're doing in their project, and keep something back. So I feel like
Yeah.
I hope that with what I'm doing now is something that people can appreciate in the future and see, what? This isn't just someone who's just a normal fan who's just there to like, come in, hear the music, and leave. No, he wants to understand and really understand the journey of some of these people, because that's the connection I want to build. That's me, like I say before, many of my other interviews, I bridge the gap between fan and artist. It's one thing to just say, "Yay, Sippy, I love you, can I have an autograph?" And another thing to like really like, say, how are you doing? What's your journey? What's your story? And like really understand the behind the scenes of it sometimes, because when I hear that, it makes me say, it inspires me. It really means the world to me. And it makes me have a deeper appreciation whenever I hear songs like Candy Kid, songs like Deviate, songs like Ghost, songs like your EPs and Who's in Charge, and all that jazz, because it makes you say, what? This person really means what they're doing, and really hear the passion and love and everything that they're making.
Yeah.
So the least I can do in that regard is say thank you.
Yeah. And honestly, like I do understand how some artists, like, it can be hard. Like it's definitely a very all-consuming and very tiring game, because you're constantly like, I just did this tour with Champagne Drip. Absolutely amazing tour. But
I remember seeing the post for that. Absolutely incredible. So freaking
Yeah,
sad. Why they didn't come to New York City, I will never know, but
I know.
continue.
But yeah, it was amazing. But like, like you are on a flight every single day. You're changing time zones constantly. You're not getting a lot of sleep. It's night after night. So whilst you're also trying to like stay on top of music and socials and like all these different things, you're trying to eat healthy, you're trying to exercise, things are falling by the wayside. So I can see it can be very exhausting for artists, and also like it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes. So I completely understand. Like, I think there needs to be a balance between like protecting and respecting artists, but also like artists understanding like that their role, like on the one hand, I understand some people saying, okay, like artists' only role is like perform and write music. But at the end of the day, like that's not really the world that we live in and that we're in. There are sides of the music industry that you can be in that are more that way inclined. But I think for me, like people who listen to my music and love my music, like they are a huge priority for me, because like that means a lot to me, that they do connect with it in their own way, or even if it's not the same way that I do necessarily. That means a lot for me. So it means that I'm going to prioritize that. And if that means like I don't have as much time on my own, or if that means I don't have this, that, or the other, like I'm willing to sacrifice that, because that's a priority. But it also means like I make other decisions which make sure that those are prioritized. Like I make sure that I get the right amount of sleep. I make sure that I'm not like up all night like getting hammered and doing drugs, because then I'll feel like shit the next day and blah blah. Like
Like the
I'm like,
bunny.
yeah, exactly.
Don't do what
I
the
feel like
bunny
I'm
does every single time.
I feel like I'm making better decisions than the bunny is, that's for sure. But yeah, like I make those decisions because I do want to prioritize time with people. If we ever, I love when we have meet and greets, because I'm like, oh, this is an opportunity. I understand like when I play a show and sometimes people are like, oh, like photo and autograph and that sort of stuff, which is nice. And I love to do that. But meet and greets are great because I actually get the opportunity to talk to people and hear about, like, yes, obviously they ask me a lot of questions, but like I love hearing about them, like they do things that are like, it's just a really amazing experience for me, because I come from so far away, and I'll be in a city like Bozeman, Montana, and be like, holy hell, like this is like, it's almost like another world, and you're so far away, yet you listen to my music and you love my music. And like, it's really interesting to me. So I love having those like moments where I can actually like have a chat and hear about,
Right.
like other people's lives, I guess.
That is amazing to hear, like how much, like, the people who listen to your music, who really are fans of your work, fans of your journey, you like prioritize them. That's amazing to hear. I wish that more artists would, I can actually, like, hear that and maybe try that out a few times, maybe try a few meet and greets here and there, and really be humbled by the people who really listen to your music, who really like really connects to your stories, connects to their journeys.
Yeah.
And hearing all that makes me all the more appreciative, all the more grateful that you took the time out of your time off to relax, to speak with me. And again, it's things like this that I never, ever, ever take for granted. So trust me when I say I'm cherishing this to the best of my ability. I hope I am. And again, I'm a broken record when I say this, but if I had 10,000 tongues, I would not say it enough to you, which is thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me have this chance to speak with you and really hear your journey, hear how you came up and how the whole Sippy project has been born, and hearing some of these stories.
Yeah.
It's stories like this that I will always remember, and that I will always make sure I cherish, and for a very long time, probably forever, because that's how much it means to me. So for you to take this time to speak with me, just know that much is something I will never ever be able to possibly repay. It's something like it's so much different than just giving a gift or like having or something. It's all materialistic in the end, but time is something that could never be taken away. And this like amount of time I spent so far, I have been absolutely loving every second of it. So to you, Sippy, I say thank you so much for everything. I truly, truly,
Thank you.
truly do.
Thank you. And I want to say to you, because I feel like I don't know, like obviously I can hear your appreciation. I see your appreciation. It's very, you know, it's not just like one day that you say that, like you very much like live and breathe that appreciation. And it's like very, my face lights up every time like I see a video of you or I see a post from you or anything like that. It makes me so happy to see. But I also want to say to you, like, I'm very much appreciate you and I want to thank you because, you know, like, yes, it is one thing for me to come and give my time to you, but for me, it's a huge deal to have people like you out there, people like you who are very much appreciative, who, you know, like, I don't think people really understand the power of like, I don't know, like the power of having those moments where you're sharing art and artists with other people and showing your passion and showing your appreciation. Like for me, seeing it, it very much like inspires me, it motivates me, you know, like even hearing you like rattle off all the things that I've done and I'm like, wow, you know, like having other people that see that and appreciate that and also like promote that is a huge thing. I'm actually like admittedly not very great with social media in terms of like I have an hour limit a day, then I get
Hmm.
locked out. I don't have a lot of feeds. So I don't scroll and I don't see a lot of, you know, like I don't scroll through things, so I don't
It's that
like always
balance.
see as
You don't
much.
want to get sucked
Yeah,
into that void.
exactly. I do spend a lot of time, like, I'm actually really bad. I don't know what it is about Twitter DMs, but like, I always miss them. But Instagram ones, I'm like
Under,
really on top of. But
understood,
like, I think
understood.
because Twitter isn't used as much in Australia, so I like forget that it's like there.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh shit, here's a message from 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, like 2 months ago. Like, I just went through today. I had messages from November, and I was like, holy shit, I'm sorry, I just saw this. So anyway, but I like it does make a big difference to see that. So I want to really thank you seeing how much that you do for the community and how much that you really push and how passionate you are. Like it doesn't go unnoticed. All the artists like know you and know who you are, like you know what I mean? So
It's
like I want to thank you from mine and from like all the artists perspective because it really makes a difference for us and we love it and it helps us like reignite our passion and our motivation and it makes us feel like we're doing something, you know, that is good and that brings people joy or, you know, even if the songs aren't necessarily happy, it brings connection for people. So I want to thank you so much for also like bringing that to more people as well and really like living it as well.
right. I really do appreciate all that so freaking much. And tying to what's like how social media is like well not just the whole Twitter thing, but I think Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz, all those platforms, it can people always say that they stay away from it most of the time because it's a place of a lot of negative energy, a lot of
Mm,
cynicism, as I've been told a
yeah.
few times here and there. That's why for someone like me, in being a part of this EDM community, want to be part of the community, I said to myself, you know what? Why do I see so much negativity when you can just be positive? Do you know how easy it is just
Yes.
to like give a compliment?
Yes.
How easy it is to just like be kind to people? How easy it is just like tell people that you're doing amazing work. Thank you so much for this. It's so easy,
Exactly.
yet people think
Yeah.
it's so hard. So I said, you know what? Let me show you how easy it is to be a good person. And so I
Yes.
kind of dedicated that to like me wanting to be a positive person, wanting to be that like bit of serotonin in people's system to be like, no, maybe the world isn't such a bad place. Maybe the community isn't such a terrible place. Every time I see
Yeah.
like negativity, I say to myself, you know what? It's time to do a little something on this platform. Be the EDM Listerine in people's mouths because I just
Exactly.
I'm really trying to call myself that, the EDM Listerine. I am the mouthwash ready to like clear all the germs, all the pathogens
I
of
love
all
that.
negativity. I might embrace that, but
Yeah, I've never
again,
heard that before. I really love that.
I'll
Oh my
remember
gosh.
that. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but I'll accept it. But that's just who I am. That's who I want to be. I hope I'm doing a good job with it in everything that I
Yeah.
do. And so
Yeah.
again, I
You
really
really
appreciate.
are.
Thank you. I really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it so much. But the last question I want to ask is this, because I feel like this journey of Sippy, 5 years in so far, it's not the end. I know it's not
Definitely
the end
not.
for you, not for you, for the bunny. We're gonna keep on running this project up till it gets to the top. What is next for Sippy? Because recently, I believe I heard something that's also pretty big as well. I wouldn't say big as Marshmallow, but he's pretty big too. Okay, sure. Griffin colors the Sippy remix.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
kind of it. That was kind of crazy. I literally remember me screaming when I saw it because anytime I see a small artist have a spot with three big artists like Marshmallow,
yeah,
Griffin, Zeds Dead, Subtronics, these other
yeah,
people, it's insane. It's kind of
yeah.
crazy for them to know
It is
little people
awesome,
like you.
honestly.
So
Yeah.
I know this cannot be the end. So what is possibly next for Sippy?
Honestly, this year is very so like I guess the last year and a half was my first time properly like moving to the States, and it's been a big, I think it was a took a lot more adjusting than I thought. So I spent that time obviously like getting my name out there, but also just like trying to work out how to get in a rhythm as an artist, because I was actually really struggling with that for the past probably like year and 3 months. Like really, it's only been the last 3 months that I'm finally feeling like okay, like I'm settling into my thing. This year, sorry, this year is I'm doing a lot more stuff for myself, pushing on to the next level. So you can see definitely a lot more headline shows, a lot of releases this year. And I think a lot more releases with some different labels that you haven't seen me release on before. So I'm really excited for that because some of them are like very cool, different, interesting labels that a lot of people haven't released on. So I'm excited for that. The music is very diverse, and I feel like it's a very good next step and progression in my production. Um, and then I also there's a lot of new things happening that come with those headline shows because I have a little bit more control when it's my own show, not completely for a lot of them, but some of them, yeah. And then some tours towards the end of the year that will be quite big. Um, so yeah, it's pretty much just the next step up. So I'm excited. I'm mostly excited about the music because that's what I'm like working on at the moment, and I'm excited to like get that new music out there to everyone. So yeah.
Understood, but again, like every single thing you said about what's coming up, we have new this, do that. Literally in my mind, I was like saying to myself, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
loving it. It's like, come on, give me more, give me more good
Yeah.
news.
I'm like,
Because,
what details can I give, but also not give too many details. Yeah.
right. Thank you
But
so
no,
much
I'm
thank
really,
you so much for respecting that. Because
yeah,
I always tell artists that like please like tell us what's coming up next, but just don't give us
yeah,
too much. Don't like be
too
very
much.
this is the time we can be very big about it. If you don't want to say anything, then say nothing at all. Keep it in
Yeah.
suspense. I don't mind me being in
Yeah.
suspense.
Yeah.
But so it's
I think the thing I'm most excited for is the new music because it's very I don't know, like it's very diverse. Like I literally have club bangers and I have like very vocal melodic things in there as well. But I feel like this year I finally feel like I'm starting to get into my stride again that I was in when I was in Australia. I was very much like on a roll when it came to writing in Australia. And then I went to the States and it was like so much change in such a short amount of time that I was just like almost relearning how to be both an artist but also an adult in a new country that I'm not from, and I'm not surrounded by my friends and family. So I was kind of like working everything out. Now I feel like I'm finally starting to hit my stride again. And it means that like I'm taking a lot more risks. And I know some may not work the way that I want, but I'm like excited and happy to take the risk because it feels more true and authentic to like me as an artist. So, and I'm excited to see how they hit. Some of them people may not resonate with, some of them like people may resonate with more than some of the stuff that like I felt was a bit more safe. So I'm really excited to kind of throw all of that out there and see how it goes.
I can hardly wait to experience all that's coming up Sippy in 2023. And again, like I'm tying this back to like what you said about Zeds Dead and how like their sets are very diverse when it comes to their music. You don't know what to expect. I
Hmm.
would say if this is like the year where you're gonna be more diverse and like being labels that no one will expect, release songs that has not it's not really the same like sound as how it was in 2021, 2020, 2019. So I would say maybe treat your sets almost similar to like what Zeds Dead is doing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk to Zeds Dead. Maybe they could do a little something with the Sippy. I don't know, but I'm just
Come on,
saying,
boys, help me out.
right. All I'm saying is just that the diversity part I am all in for. If no one else rocks with this side of Sippy or this type of new style of Sippy, just know there at least there's someone out there who may not be there all the time in the crowd, but know that they
Yeah.
truly appreciate everything that is Sippy. And the people who
Yeah.
will leave or say no, I don't like it because Sippy's changing. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
People evolve. Music evolves every single year. Things that
Yeah.
were that are obsolete that people think is not noticeable. It's not gonna catch on. It's starting to
Yeah.
catch on. That's just how
Yeah.
that's just how the world works. It just keeps on turning.
Yeah.
It keeps on spinning. Music's gonna keep evolving, and so does Sippy.
For sure.
Sippy has to evolve. Sippy is not going to be this little girl anymore with the pink ears anymore. This bunny has got to evolve in something bigger.
Evolve.
Maybe not
Exactly.
tear down a town in their last adventure. So bottom line, Sippy, I thank you so much for
Thank you
to
so
speak
much.
with me. I really am honored and blessed to have met you, and honored and blessed to be a fan of your work. Please, please, if you can, if you have the time to, in your time off, give my love to everyone in Psychotic Recordings. My love to Deadbeats. My love to Bass Rush. They're all freaking incredible, making such incredible work. Their roster is absolutely spot on. And please, oh please, make sure you contact Flodan and Ehirobo. They're gonna love to work with you.
I will.
I just know it.
I will. Yeah. I'll tell them that you sent me.
Tell them that this man here, Len Volard, has sent you to work with them. Thank you so much again for everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, and have a great birthday week.
Thank you so much. I definitely will. Thank you so much.
Enjoy it. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.